could they, Claire? They didn't fear their demise. They repackaged it. It can be enjoyed as video games, as TV shows, books, movies. The entire world wholeheartedly embraced the apocalypse and sprinted towards it with gleeful abandon. Meanwhile, Earth was crumbling all around you. You've got simultaneous epidemics of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. Bees and butterflies start to disappear. The glaciers melt. Algae blooms all around you. The coal mine canaries are dropping dead, and you won't take the hint. In every moment, there is the possibility of a better future, but you people won't believe it. And because you won't believe it, you won't do what is necessary to make it a reality. So you dwell on this terrible future and you resign yourselves to it. For one reason, because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. Because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. Yes, you saw the iceberg, warned the Titanic. But you will just steer for it anyway, full steam ahead. Why? Because you want to sink. You gave up.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio. Radio.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Time to join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway in search of the lost knowledge on existence of alien life and the shift in humanity's consciousness and many other metaphysical topics.
Good afternoon. This is Debbie West on Lost Knowledge. Michael Hathaway will not be joining us today. We are really thrilled to have our guest today. His name is Goode. He is going to be discussing his 20 years of service in the secret space program, where many different organizations were formed, the Solar Warden Space Program, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, and the Galactic League of Nations. He will explain to us firsthand how our extraterrestrial comrades are working in unison with our Earth ambassadors to unfold a new reality here on Earth within the Sphere Alliance and Super Federation, and we'll define all these things during the show. He is featured in a new book by Michael Salla titled Insiders Reveal Secret Space Program and ET Alliances. We had Michael Salla on the show a couple of times, including about 2 weeks ago, so the book is out and now available. He's also featured on Gaiam TV segments hosted by David Wilcock, and we're just really thrilled to have Corey Goode on the show today. Corey, welcome to Lost Knowledge.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So I just want to start out by going through a few basic definitions, and you can make your answers kind of short because people are going to want to go dig into this information once they, sort of get the gist of it. But just so we don't start talking about things that people have no knowledge of, can you just briefly describe what the MyLab program is, and sort of like in general, and is it still operating?
I'm sorry, you broke up. Can you repeat that question?
Can you just briefly describe the MyLab program for us?
Yes. The MyLab is actually kind of a controversial term. It's something that was coined back, I believe, in the early 1990s. It stands for military abduction. It's grown over the decades. It includes many Black Ops programs that include the various different training programs, not just the Super Soldier and MK Ultra programs that people associate it with. And I was brought into it as a child, and as far as I know, this is something that is still ongoing, although they've changed their tactics and the way they operate quite a bit.
Corey, is this a U.S. program or is it a worldwide program?
It is fairly worldwide, but mostly in the West, in Europe, the United States, Australia, sort of the Western allied nations.
And I mean, out of curiosity, why are they picking children to represent them in this program?
Well, they've tried to train adults in a lot of these psionic and different types of methods, and adults, once you reach adulthood, you've already developed belief systems and preconceived ideas about what is possible and not possible. They want prepubescent children because a lot of them still see the magic in the world, and the world hasn't beaten out of them all of the wondrous possibilities of what is and is not possible, such as they haven't been told, about the Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy and all of those different things. They still been to all of the possibilities of things. And since consciousness is very important in these abilities, if your consciousness has not been distorted in the way to where you've been told that there's just, there's gravity, there's up, there's down, there's the laws of, chemistry and mainstream science, and that's it, then you're going to be a lot more malleable.
Yeah. So they're taking kids that have a multidimensional nature to their consciousness, and then they're using them in these elite positions. Is it for the good of humanity, or is it for maybe just for their own service?
Well, almost all of these children are starseeds or wanderers. They seek these types of people out. Now, when you talk about is this for the greater good, this is always going to go back to point of view. From a lot of their points of view, they think that they're doing the right thing, but this is, they're taking a lot of beautiful beings that have incarnated here that have pretty much a sole purpose, and they're taking these people, bending, corrupting them to their own purposes. So I would not consider this a positive program at all. that's why the secret space program broke away from the larger secret space program, and also these Earth-based alliances have broken away from the larger secret Earth government programs and fighting against them.
Yeah, well, I think anything cloaked in secrecy and deceit is something that we're trying to steer away from now as humanity evolves. So maybe if you had to guess, how many children would you say are currently involved in this MyLab program?
Currently, I mean, this would be total speculation. I really try to stay away from speculating. But since the numbers of the population numbers have grown, I would say exponentially so would the number of children in these groups have grown as well. So it would be, many tens, if not hundreds of thousands.
Okay, so that's a completely separate issue, but that's definitely something that I think falls in the sphere of what you talk about as atrocities, human atrocities, and something that we'll have certainly be looking more into. But I want to define a few more of the terms that you use. Can you tell us what the Secret Space Program Alliance is and what is their goal?
Yeah, the Secret Space Program is it's made up of, a lot of people are saying that it is the Solar Warden faction, but in fact it's made up of a number of different factions of different secret space programs that have broken away from their secret space program factions, and they've brought manpower, intelligence, and their space vessels and resources with them to form this, to be a part of this loose-knit group that forms this Secret Space Program Alliance Council. And their goal is to basically work the best they can with the Earth-based Alliance and help end the Babylonian money magic slave system, and to bring down the secret Earth governments and their syndicates that control everything, and to also finally expose humanity to all of these advanced technologies that we should have been exposed to many decades ago that would have improved our life.
Right. So this new alliance now, is it formed with ET groups or just Earth humans?
Well, they were formed just Earth humans, and they some alliances with some non-human groups, but a lot of them have a lot of mistrusts towards non-human groups, non-terrestrial groups. So they've been very close-knit, trying to make this a human solution to a human problem.
Good. Considering, some of the technology agreements we've made in the past have not ended too well for Earth, so
absolutely not. That's
a good thing. And so you talk about being chosen to represent the Sphere Being Allowance as a council member. These are all new terms to what you're calling the Super Federation meetings. Can you sort of describe what those terms are?
Yeah, the Super Federation is it's a larger council that gets together that's made up of federations and groups that call themselves federations and commands that meet in this basically like a UN type environment, to where all these federations come together into a super federation, and there are basically 40 main federation groups that meet, but sometimes there are 50 that will
that
are loosely involved that will be at these meetings.
So these various groups are from different planets, different planets in our solar system?
Different star systems.
So like Pleiades, Arcturus, like those kind of places?
Not necessarily, but yeah, different star systems that there's been a lot of times for operational security, these different beings have told us that they are from certain star systems when they either just have outposts there or they are actually from a totally different star system, and they do it because for the security of their own star systems. Since we now have interstellar travel, they don't want us zipping to their home
weapons.
Yeah, dropping in and dropping off some nukes.
Right.
So
where do they meet? Do they meet? I think you just recently went to a meeting that was near Jupiter and Saturn, somewhere there.
Yes, it's at a sort of a Lagrange type point, but it's at a point between Jupiter and Saturn, and this is an area that is a sort of temporal anomaly, kind of a temporal bubble, and a large embassy station inside this anomaly that all these different groups come and meet and discuss their 22 different experiments that they have going on in this solar system that is a part of this greater grand experiment that they are a part of.
So some of the experiments are on Earth and some are on other planets, I assume?
Yes, and they themselves are also very much a part of this grand experiment. They're not just scientists and we're the lab rats. They too are very much invested in and a part of this overall grand experiment.
So because they donated DNA?
Well, no, not just that. The experiment is genetic. It is of a spiritual and social nature. It's got a lot wider of a spectrum than most people realize. A lot of people just think it's just a genetic sort of interbreeding genetic and hybridization kind of program. It's a lot of these beings are incarnating here on the earth as us. They're actually, they themselves are very much a part of the experiment. They're as much a part of the experiment as we are.
Right.
They're not the gatekeepers or the scientists experimenting on the rats. They're the rats as well.
Right. So when we understand the multidimensional nature of ourselves, then we can realize that we have soul sheds on other planets and in other places in the universe that are all, part of our multidimensional self. I think that's kind of what you're saying too. Is that they acknowledge that they have an aspect here on Earth as well as aspects of themselves out there in the rest of the universe.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of them are very much. Have spoken about these concepts of we're all one, kind of not really theology, but they speak of a source, and we are one, and that we're all on a journey returning to source, and there's some outliers or people that are holding up the process for a lot of the other beings, and some have decided to take a risk to self or a hands-on manipulating certain beings to skip ahead evolutionary path, and others want us to progress naturally as we're supposed to. So there's a lot of conflicting programs going on, stepping on each other's toes, competing programs.
What's your role at the meeting?
My role is to deliver information from the sphere beings to the audience, and to deliver messages from the different members in the audience back to the sphere beings. It really doesn't work that way. When I go to try to give them information, I seem to already know it.
Yeah. So just to distinguish between the sphere beings and the blue avians, can you talk about the blue avians for a minute?
The blue avians are, for some reason, everybody's been extremely fascinated with them and have really focused on them a lot. They're one of 5 of this group that, and they don't call themselves the Blue Avians. They don't call themselves the Sphere Being Alliance. This is a term that the secret space program has given them. When you ask them who they are, they'll just, whichever one you're talking to, will say, "I'm raw tier air." That's how they answer you. So anyway, the Blue Avians are one of the group. They're 6. They say they're 6th to 9th density, and the blue orbs are supposed to be the highest density of the 5. And the only other out of the 5, 3 have revealed themselves, and it's the Blue Avians, the blue orb beings, which are the ones who've been communicating the most with people on the Earth, and what we've called the Golden Triangle heads, because we haven't even gotten a name for this one being that we met one time.
So what's their message, and why do you think that they've come and approached you and many others at this important time?
Well, they are in the they're not only in our solar system, they're in our local star cluster. They're in other star systems as well. They have thousands of these spheres, and these spheres range the size of the moon, Neptune, and these spheres are actually, they're not spacecraft. They are actually these blue orb beings that I guess when you're in 9th density, size doesn't really matter. They can phase it out of density any size they want, but they are spaced out equidistantly in our solar system, and certain energies within the spectrum of energies that are entering our solar system right now are being sort of buffered by these spheres.
So is it because Earth is shifting into a new time-space continuum and entering into the 5th density that they need to help buffer so that the Earth changes will be minimized?
Right. Yes. Our local star cluster is moving into a very high energetic area of the galaxy. In the secret space program, we were sending vessels for a long time to look at these huge nebula looking clouds that were ahead in this giant torsion field of a galaxy that we're in. And we saw these huge clouds that we were headed towards. And these huge nebulous type clouds are high energy frequency particle clouds. And we've actually been hit going into them since at least the 1930s. But we're getting into more and more of the thick parts of these clouds, and it is affecting the the solar system in a very dramatic way, which has been measured, and it's to a point to where it's changing the Schumann resonance of the planet. The sun is shifting to a different frequency. All the planets or energetic shift changes and climate changes. This is something that's been occurring for some time, but it's exponentially getting stronger.
So, and just to be clarify this with you, it's not the first time that Earth has gone through this cycle in the solar system. It's the 5th evolution of the Earth into this new point in the galaxy.
Right. Yeah. This is not the first revolution we've made around this giant torsion field of the galaxy.
So, and every time Earth goes through this point in what we call linear time, we are induced by galactic frequencies to elevate our consciousness, acknowledge our immortal spiritual selves, and become part of a galactic consciousness, where they have already attained this. Is that what they're here to tell us?
Yeah. Yes. They achieved this level that they're at well over 1 billion years ago. They've entered this higher density plane a long time ago. So, they're not on a different planet in a different part of the galaxy. They're actually in a different vibratory plane. Our entire the nature of all the matter around us is going through a vibratory shift and a vibratory change and upgrade, and it's affecting everything around us, including people, and you can see it. People that are of a positive polarity or so, people of a negative polarity are acting out and becoming more so, and it's having a really heavy effect on people, unfortunately, that have different mental illnesses, and it's an interesting time for our people.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's so many galactics contacting Earth right now, and we have so many receptors. We're on a new frequency, and we can hear the messages that they're giving us. So you've heard very clearly message of the Blue Avians, and it's inspiring. It inspires hope in all of us. We'll come back on Lost Knowledge and talk more to Corey Goode about the messages from the Blue Avians as we all transcend into this new 5th edition here on Earth.
Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
Please, anything but sitar music. Yeah, that's better. You're invited to Sacred Cow Barbecue. I'm your host, Patricia Aiken. My guests will free your mind from mainstream manure. No subject is off limits. Don't believe everything you think. It's BS. Just our collective belief system programmed into us. Question everything. Come hungry for truth, because that's what we're serving. Sacred Cow Barbecue, Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern in Studio B.
Imagine if you glimpsed the future, were frightened by what you saw, what would you do with that information? You would go to who? Politicians? Captains of industry? And how would you convince them? Data? Facts? Good luck. The only facts they won't challenge are the ones that keep the wheels greased and the dollars rolling in. But what if there was a way of skipping the middleman, putting the critical news directly into everyone's head? the probability of widespread annihilation kept going up. The only way to stop it is to show it. Scare people straight. Because what reasonable human being wouldn't be galvanized by the potential destruction of everything they've ever known or loved? To save civilization, I would show its collapse. How do you think this vision was received? How do you think people responded to the prospect of imminent doom? They gobbled it up like a chocolate eclair. They didn't fear their demise. They repackaged it. It can be enjoyed as video games, as TV shows, books, movies. The entire world wholeheartedly embraced the apocalypse and sprinted towards it with gleeful abandon. Meanwhile, Earth was crumbling all around you. You've got simultaneous epidemics of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. Bees and butterflies start to disappear. The glaciers melt. Algae blooms all around you. The coal mine canaries are dropping dead, and you won't take the hint. In every moment, there is the possibility of a better future. But you people won't believe it. And because you won't believe it, you won't do what is necessary to make it a reality. So you dwell on this terrible future, and you resign yourselves to it. For one reason, because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. Because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. Yes, you saw the iceberg, warned the Titanic. But you were just steered for it anyway, full steam ahead. Why? Because you want to sink. You gave up.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio.
Hi, join us on Monday nights for Odyssey at 10 p.m. Eastern Time in Studio B with your host, Michael David. We discuss all types of ancient and modern mysteries, from the Anunnaki to legends and mythology. We often have live guests such as well-known authors and experts on many esoteric topics. Join the intrigue and mystery every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time in Studio B.
Hey everyone, it's Barbara Jean Lindsay, the Cosmic Oracle. If you have questions about your past lives or future plans, need answers from the cosmos about your love life or career, or just want to keep your finger on the pulse of the planet, check out my show, The Cosmic Oracle, here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
The Secret Society Revealed. With your host, Joseph Atwell, author of Caesar's Messiah, the Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus, and Shakespeare's Secret Messiah, the groundbreaking discoveries that gives us a new understanding of how governments and elites use mind control to manipulate their subjects. Join Mr. Atwell as he lifts the veils of deceptions of our modern world, Mondays, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, on Revolution Radio.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Good afternoon. This is Debbie West on Lost Knowledge. Today we're talking to Corey Goode. He's giving us a lot of insider information on the secret space programs and our alliances with various extraterrestrial groups as we become part of the greater galactic society. The book by Michael Sala is available now. It's titled Insiders Reveal Secret Space Programs and ET Alliances, and it focuses a lot on the history from somewhere around the 1980s to the present day, and Corey Goode's testimony and corroboration of all the evidence that he's given. So that book is now available, as well as some shows on Gaiam TV with host David Wilcock. So, Corey, you've come forward and talked a lot about your background with this Secret Space Alliance and your meetings with various extraterrestrial groups. And I want to talk to you about the extraterrestrials that you've met with. Are you able, during those meetings, to have conversations with any of them, either telepathically or with your voice? And are you able to talk to them sort of about the nature of who they are, where they're from, and what it's like where they live?
This is it's more of a formal environment. This is very much like a UN type of meeting. So when we arrive, I am sat in my seat. I have 3 intuitive empath support members, like I used to be when I was a MyLab and I was originally going to these meetings. That one sits to each side of me and one sits in front of me, a little bit lower, and then I have an advisor that I'm allowed to have stands over my left shoulder, which is have to be careful. I almost say his real name every time. Lieutenant Colonel Gonzalez. And when you're sitting in the chair, you understand this universal language they're speaking. When I was an intuitive empath, I would not understand a thing that was going on when I was sitting in the other chairs below. So each group is given a certain allotted time to get up and talk about concerns or what's going on in the program, or how another group might be affecting their program that they've made agreements not to do. And then I'm given an opportunity to get up and deliver a message from the Sphere Alliance. And when each of them are up there, they will communicate to me in the spoken language what they would like me to deliver back to the Sphere Alliance. There's also a being, we call them all people. There's a person up there that's giving a strange type of sign language. Anyone is up there speaking. Now, afterwards, when you're communicating one-on-one, there is what we call interfacing, or telepathic communication that occurs. And when we have left the main hall and we're out in the front foyer, I have had the opportunity to interface with several of these different beings for real short communications as we were headed back to our shuttle to leave. The conversations are rarely of a personal nature, but there's been that that they've been kind of a relaxed nature. But no, we do not talk about religion. We do not talk about their home star systems. We do not talk about their foods. We don't talk about those types of topics.
So when recently you had a blog post where you talked about going to one of the ancient breakaway civilizations of the inner Earth. What did you feel about that civilization and the way they live?
I had quite a few mixed emotions and feelings about those 7 groups. They've got a very negative view of humans on the surface population. They've got a negative view of, and they are totally unapologetic about their many thousands of years of deceiving us, pretending to be gods, ascended masters, and as we became more sophisticated, pretending to be extraterrestrials from several different star systems. They say they do it for operational security so that we look up at the stars instead of below our feet as to where they come from. They see us as very aggressive and barbaric, warlike, and the different black ops syndicates that have built below ground facilities have been very disrespectful and unfriendly to them and their domains, and have even polluted their very delicate ecosystem. That's their subterranean ecosystem. But they have their very positive qualities, but they also have some negative qualities that are hard to reconcile. But everyone's got a point of view, and just like everyone's got a rear end, and they all stink.
Well, did you feel like these were the people that some of the people that perhaps Admiral Byrd had met with when he ventured into the Hollow Earth?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to see their point. I mean, if the ancient Lemurians, are waiting for Earth to stop trying to destroy its own planet and realize that we're, sovereign beings of this, of home planet Earth in a universe full of sentient life, and it's not, if we destroy this home base where we're all stationed, there's no place else to go. So
right.
You can kind of understand where they're coming from, and they've been through this for millions of years, waiting for.
Yeah, and and a lot of these groups are now communicating with each other. Some of them are very patriarchal ladies, and they're communicating and working with one or two of the subterranean groups that are. They have philosophy that are very kind of matriarchal, or kind of like what we have on the surface, a male-dominated, and the women are treated with a lot of reverence in the matriarchal groups, and it's these groups have not gotten along very well and have isolated themselves from each other for many thousands of years, and they're together now to form this council out of necessity because of recent events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seems like everybody is sort of kind of creating a way to get together at the same table so that something can be done about this, these problems that are on Earth. I was told that Earth was created as a living biological DNA library from all over the solar system that represents all species. And it was expected to be an experiment where life, all of sentient life, could live in harmony. Is that your understanding of Earth's creation?
Well, there's all different sorts of types of information like that are out there that are conflicting with other information. A lot of the basic information that most of the groups agree on is that each star system, each galaxy has its own. Just like people talk about Gaia, Earth. So are stars and galaxies, and they have their own blueprint and their own pattern for creating life in their systems. And there's an energetically life is created and arises on many different planets. It's not automatically created and seeded by a being in every situation, because eventually you're going to get into who came, the chicken or the egg situation. Who created the being that created that being, and who created the being that created the being that created that being?
Right. Where did those people come from? It's all
right.
It's all very interesting. And recently we've kind of decided that the Darwin's theory of evolution can't be possible. So then we have to search for something else, which sounds like the Blue Avians and some of the others out there are trying to help us sort of create a new reality, a new sense of where we come from and our purpose here.
Yeah, and the first step that they're really trying to communicate is that we've got to make our reality bubbles permeable. Even people that say they don't religions or belief systems have created their own belief systems, their own esoteric belief systems, their own UFO religions that they stick to in a diehard manner, and it's caused a lot of schisms and splinters in the truther community and the esoteric community, and this is a very important community to have united right now with what the world's about to go through. And that's, one of the messages delivered to me is that, as uncomfortable as it is, we need to start opening our minds up to the fact that there's some things that, we may not have figured out that we think we have, even if we've been doing UFO studies for 40, 60 years. So, we don't have everything figured out.
Yeah.
And, so the minute that you think you have everything figured out, you've created a closed belief system, and you're closing yourself to any new or any other information. And that you're putting yourself in a dangerous spot.
So we should open up our ability to understand and be aware of new realities.
Yes, other realities, and not cling to certain core information that has come from a different book or person that has channeled information, or a different guru or a different researcher, or don't follow people. Follow the answers. Come from within. Don't look outward for a savior ET or a savior guru or a savior researcher with some grand information. You have to use your discernment with all this information and ultimately find the answers from within and do the own inner work on yourself. And then ultimately that's going to come down to, raising your own vibration and becoming more loving and service to others.
Right. And to tap into the higher frequency, just some people have been advising us to bypass the fourth or astral dimension and just raise our frequency up to the fifth dimension and higher if we're able to, because that allows us, only recognizing those of the light into our consciousness, and we have the ability to do that. We can all do that. I know you've had to train really hard at that, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've, I was, working in a world where I actively saw, and saw the equipment and people operating this voice of God technology, targeting individuals. So, I know the dangers that are out there and what people have to work their way through in information. It's very rough.
What do the Galactics say about what's coming as far as disclosure? I know that that's one of the conversations that is on the table right now, is how can we disclose to humanity, the greater reality in the cosmos, and without raising their fear level and things like that. So what's the current sort of, how do they?
Well, I don't think you're going to like the answer to this, because they've said that things are going to get worse before they get better, and unfortunately, fear is going to be one of the catalysts of this for them are asleep. It's going to take a catalyzing event, like just an example, like a mass global financial meltdown, to where everyone, all of a sudden, all the people that just watch, that are totally brainwashed and think all the stuff we're talking about is bunk, to become very upset, realize there's a giant Ponzi scheme, realize that there's a small elite that have been manipulating them and running a giant slave system on this planet. And these people are going to have to go through like the 5 different stages that a lot of people do when someone dies. You know, they'll go through denial, they'll go through, bartering, anger, acceptance, and then anger, all the different steps. And will only be through that type of situation that their minds will be opened up to look at information that they would normally dismiss as conspiracy. And during this time, after a catalyzing event, the Earth Alliance and the Secret Space Program Alliance, all these different hacks that we've heard about of the U.S. and in Europe, in addition to all of the information Edward Snowden had, which has recently been decrypted and collated, is going to be released in large data dump, and it's what they're calling a full disclosure event. And most people think of disclosure as, Obama or the Pope standing up in front of a mic and saying, oh, okay, aliens, they've been visiting us, and we have advanced technology.
They just had their chance, and I was so excited.
Yeah. But the disclosure is also going to be information about a lot of crimes against humanity, and this is a lot of stuff that has to be put on the table. Humanity has to just finally sit around the table, deal with a lot of uncomfortable and unpleasant things, and then we have to move on, and then move on into as a post-disclosure civilization and as a transitional civilization, and create a new reality for ourselves with our co-creative consciousness that's been hidden from us, of our co-creative consciousness.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, and I appreciate you saying that, and we've heard that through the, many other prophecies as well, including a lot of Edgar Casey's readings, but you've also talked to a lot of people who are not, I assume you've talked to some people that aren't necessarily politically oriented, and they've shared with you that they have technology releases scheduled as well that are going to help us environmentally and spiritually and physically to heal ourselves and our planet. So it's not all doom and gloom. At the same time as all of that, what you just said is going on, the release of this technology will also give us access to things that we can't even imagine.
Well, yeah, that's the Secret Space Program Alliance has made it clear that we're going to release all of these technologies, the replication technologies for food, the healing technologies through light and frequency, different types of free energy, and many other types of technologies to all of humanity at the same time, not to certain humanity, but all of humanity. And there's a lot of different groups that are working on technologies right now, but people like to call them the powers that were. I'm sorry, they're still the powers that be. They are still in power, and they are still preventing this technology from being released. And that's the way it's going to be until there's a full disclosure event. After the full disclosure event, there are going to be global tribunals. And then we're going to, have a time of healing and moving on as a new type of civilization through that time period, as well as, us going through these energetic changes, and the energetic changes are going to affect people differently depending on each individual is going to be affected differently by these energetic changes depending on their spiritual development and their polarity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so one of the, do you see a peaceful evolution for Earth humans as we now enter this era of galactic prosperity for ourselves? I mean, obviously
Yes.
that's the end goal. So how do you see this as a result being a very peaceful integration?
Yes, it will ultimately be a very peaceful, beautiful golden age. It will get a little bit worse and scary, a little uncomfortable before it gets better.
Yeah, and we have a lot of friends in the universe, right?
Oh yeah, they're waiting on us.
A lot of friends. So, Corey, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much for coming forward with your information, which is eye-opening and at the same time.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
The Secret Society Revealed. With your host, Joseph Atwell, author of Caesar's Messiah, the Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus, and Shakespeare's Secret Messiah, the groundbreaking discoveries that gives us a new understanding of how governments and elites use mind control to manipulate their subjects. Join Mr. Atwell as he lifts the veils of deceptions of our modern world. Mondays, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Revolution Radio.
I'm Reverend Medium Tracy Lockwood, and I'd like to invite you to join me as I discuss life from a medium's perspective. I'll be talking about insights that I've gained through readings with topics like your guides, angels, animal communication, past lives, our transition, and the afterlife. We'll take a deeper look at the metaphysical meanings of symbols and totems, and I'll give you some practical exercises to help you develop your own natural psychic ability. Join me on From a Medium's Perspective.
Hey everyone, it's Barbara Jean Lindsay, the Cosmic Oracle. If you have questions about your past lives or future plans, need answers from the cosmos about your love life or career, or just want to keep your finger on the pulse of the planet, check out my show, The Cosmic Oracle, here on Revolution Radio at Freedom